This is your Sinister Minister. Today I wanted to bring to your attention a topic that we usually have quite a bit of difficulty in discussing. However, it is imperative that we lay aside our emotions for a moment long enough to look at the role that religion plays in the New World Order structure. Now, I see that most often in a lot of videos that go about on YouTube and as well as other places, that most often it is taught to people that religion within itself is nothing more than another form of control. And to a certain extent and degree that is true. However, there is much more that meets the eye when we look at this particular subject. Now, we know that the powers that be have infiltrated just about every religious structure on this planet, but that is for a purpose. It is in order to break down and divide the people amongst those religious lines, and to that degree, it is a form of control. However, when I look at movies such as Zeitgeist and a few others, I see a lot of disturbing things that, in fact, if one would look at them for themselves, are not totally true. Think about it, people. Why is it that now in 2008 someone has just gathered enough brains and wits about themselves in order to compile and gather this information to present to us? There is really nothing new under the sun, and if these were the total and complete facts, even if you get your information from other sources than mainstream sources, why is this information just now being presented to us? That is because these people who have made some of these films have taken certain premises and tried to make square pegs fit into round holes, and because they cut the corners off of them, they have made them fit. And because some of you depend on others to do research for you, and you do not go out on your own and research these things for yourselves, you can only see that the peg fits, and you cannot see how they put it or shoved it into this round hole. Now, Christianity has been infiltrated by the powers that be, and we all know that Catholicism is also in the back pockets of those persons who seek to destroy us. But we need to dig a little bit deeper into this, and we cannot forget also our Muslim brothers and sisters who by chance were born in another region and therefore believe something differently than you here in the United States may believe. But if you were born over there, you may in fact be a Muslim too. With that out of the way, we can look at the premises behind these religions, and without digging too deeply into them, we will say that structurally, and in the overall context and content of both the Bible and the Quran, that there are certain universal truths that are the same. The ones that speak to moral issues and to certain laws that a person should follow so that he may live a healthy and fruitful life are exactly the same between those two religions. The only thing that is different is the details in how they arrived at these things, and who, in fact, is delivering the message. Remember that for future references. We have seen that people have planned this for years to come. If you have had the opportunity to look at the Albert Pike Three Wars dreams, it is stated that they will use Christianity and Muslim prejudices in order to make those two groups fight against one another to virtually destroy themselves and leave most of their work to us as people, because we are blinded by our own hatred and our own prejudices, and because of that, we allow these books to become an instrument of evil when they were not intended that way. What we need to do is look into the overall truth of these religions and not allow it to control us by allowing another man to tell us what these things say. If you are going to adhere to any religious school of thought, and let's just take the word religion out of it and say spiritual train of thought, then it is best for you to go and read it for yourself. We know that over the years, that is the main tactic that is used to keep people deaf, dumb, and blind to the truth. People were not allowed to read Bibles on their own. They had to depend on whomever was standing in front of them to do so, which is extremely stupid. You cannot trust or believe what another man says. You go and read for yourself, and if you don't totally understand it, then read it again. But to ask and to listen and to take someone else's judgment on the matter to which you are going to base your whole life on is not a extremely smart thing to do. So with that, I am just going to add that we, as a people, have allowed the powers that be to take our yearning and desire for a better, higher, and more purposeful life and bend it and mold it to their advantage. That is what we need to see here. It is not necessary to argue about doctrines. It is not necessary to argue about who is right and who is wrong, because if these very same people were following either book, they would live and let live and leave each other to their own devices. And if they are in fact wrong, then that would be them who would have to pay for it. That is what I am here to say. We cannot get caught up on these small details. We just must know that we must look into things for ourselves, and by doing so, we eliminate the possibility that it can be used as a form of control against us. I am not here to tell you what to believe. I am here to tell you that if you believe something, make sure that you are the one who came up with those conclusions. And with that, this is your sinister minister. I'll holla.